Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a serial entrepreneur, international speaker, results strategist, business coach, mentor, and consultant. Today, I have an awesome guest. He is a serial entrepreneur and is currently the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder at Pivot CX, who won a MIRA Innovation of the Year award in 2018. He helps companies reduce time to hire from weeks to days or even seconds. Welcome, Mike Seidle, and thank you for being on my show.
Hi, Athin. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome to have you here as well, mate. And I'm sure it's going to be amazing for everybody listening to that today. So, you're a very successful entrepreneur and that. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Okay. Well, first off, when people ask me who I am, I always start with I'm the father of 5 kids, and wouldn't have life any other way. Family makes a huge difference, makes life worth living, makes all this craziness in business worthwhile. This is my 6th company I've started. So my first company I started, I did when I was in high school, actually, and so I did that, and I think I've had 2 software development companies now. I still own a credit card processing company, one of the first digital ad agencies in the United States, and that was followed by one of the first social media agencies in the United States. And then I got to go to work for an organization where the president was the first CEO of the job board monster.com. When I left there, I left with the Chief Technology Officer of that company, and we started what is now called Pivot CX. So we left that company really with this goal of changing how people find jobs and making it easier for employers to find really talented people. So we went out and we did what was all the rage in 2015. We built a mobile app, and we built an app that worked a lot like Yelp for jobs, where you could go look in the app and see jobs on a map and apply to them instantly with your phone and all that. And it was pretty successful for 2-3 years. And then last year, about right now, we started hearing about this little viral outbreak that was going on in China, and the whole world changed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's powerful with your story there of so many companies you founded, and obviously, being successful on the way, because, people will find it challenging, doing one company, let alone multiple like yourself. So well, amazing.
Athin, I wasn't successful on every one of them. I lost my shirt on 2 of them. So, there is some wisdom to keep trying over and over. And this is for me, I've had 2 that were successful from the standpoint that we sold the company. One that was a success because it's an ongoing business concern. And then 2 that weren't such a great outcome, and the current one, which the jury is out on this, but based on what's happened over the last year and the change we made, the pivot we made, if you will, I think we've got a great future. So,
yeah, awesome, and it's great to share with everybody, because not all businesses succeed, right? The stats show that most businesses fail, right? So. And that shows your resilience and how powerful you are in terms of going, this business didn't work, but at some point you've got to draw the line and go, okay, we've got to do something else. You can try and revive that business or anything like that. So, and that's really awesome. So that should really give, some inspiration, I guess, to the listeners and watchers here today, saying, if you don't have a good business, there's always a different way of doing things, whether it's for that business or start something else where there's more of a need and want in the market like that. And there can be a lot of factors and things. And obviously, if we're talking along this space of startups and things, because you've obviously got a great deal of experience in different avenues, what do you think are the 3 sort of biggest mistakes you see people making when they're founding a startup?
Well, I think you just kind of described one of them, which is you create a business that isn't a success. You create one that's failing, and not figuring out that that's what's going on. I've seen way too many people that should otherwise be successful just keep on trying with a business that isn't ever going to make it, and or make it big. And there's a lot of people that kind of get stuck in that zombie business mode where the business is doing well enough to pay the bills, but it's not prospering and it's not succeeding. And the problem is there's just not a path to get there. So that's one of them. Another mistake I see a lot of business people make is trying to be too perfect in everything that they do. They get in there and let perfect get in the way of actually executing or doing something, and they end up doing nothing as a result. So that's another one. And then the last one, and probably the one that is just really the hardest, is a lot of times we try to do things that are really, really, really ambitious. And sometimes we forget to go find out whether people will actually buy what we're going to build. And so we go invest a year or two building things, get a lot of money tied up in it, and then we end up building something that nobody wants and nobody will pay for. So, I think those are the three that I definitely watch out for.
Yeah, awesome. Great advice there for everybody listening. And, just to, I guess, expand a little bit on that last point you said, this is where, in the startup world, there's something called an MVP, a minimum viable product, right? Where this is where you want to create something as quickly, as simple, and, that works, that doesn't have all the features or whatever, but you can get out there, you can test it and see, that people actually want this, they actually buy it as well, and things like that. And then that sort of proves the concept on whatever the business is, that you actually can, scale this thing or whatever your dreams and aspirations are, which is, really important as well. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, really, you nailed it. With an MVP, that whole concept of a minimally viable product is so important. I would go even a step further than you did, saying make one that works. Make one that works, but doesn't have to work perfectly. Do it so you can find out if people will actually buy it, and if whatever it is that you're selling, if that process is going to deliver value. And then just be brutally honest with yourself. If it doesn't work, that doesn't mean you've got a failure on your hands. What it means is you need to go back and look at how you can fix it so it does work. And if you can't fix it, identify that and go do something else.
Yeah, I love that. It's like Edison with the light bulb, right? He tried thousands of times, and they said, "Oh, you failed so many times." He goes, "No, I didn't. I just found thousands of ways not to make a light bulb. I just kept trying different things, right?" And that's that entrepreneur mentality, right? It's like test quickly, fail quickly, if you want to use that word, whatever it is, so that you can keep pivoting, keep adjusting, and things like that in the process. And I think, you mentioned pivoting before, and I think 2020 with COVID and everything like that has been a challenging year for everybody around the world, no matter where you are, on, having to not be able to go outside and all the different changes within, your areas as well as globally and things like that. So I'm interested to know a little bit more about how you guys went during 2020 and COVID and sort of what came out of that as well.
Well, I think it was 4 days ago, we had our first meeting at our company about COVID. And we decided that we were in the recruitment marketing space. So we had this kind of job board mobile app thing. And what we realized was there was going to be no demand for our product when COVID hit. Because the first thing that most companies, and we have mostly, we're mostly serving in the United States. And so most of our customers were going to go do the one thing that everybody in the US does whenever things get tough, they start laying people off. And so everybody was going to go from recruit to layoff. And we knew that a lot of our customers would probably be calling and canceling, because you don't need to pay for recruitment advertising if you're not hiring anybody, right? So we, from the month of March through about the end of April, we lost 85% of our revenue. We had customers call us, and a lot of them were very apologetic. They didn't want to do it, but they had to preserve their cash. And so we made some adjustments in February last year. And one of the things we did is we realized that we had kind of a zombie product on our hands. We had been doing it, the business, for 3.5 years. Had stagnated our growth between 2019 and 2020. So we weren't seeing big growth. And we realized that this COVID thing was actually an opportunity for us to look at what we could do that would be absolutely indispensable to the businesses that we served. And so we retooled our team a little bit, brought in some new software developers, decided to go lighter on sales and marketing, and built a brand new product and brought it to market at the end of the year last year. And the result of that was that we increased our sales went up, and we sold more in January than we sold in all of 2020.
Wow. That's amazing. That's awesome with the change. And I loved what you said about, like, this is an opportunity, right? In those times. And that's the way we have to think as entrepreneurs. It's like, we losing 85% of your business or whatever it was, that's crazy, right? Like a lot of people can freak out about that, because that's, how you make money in a business and put food on the table and pay employees as well.
Well, Athin, I freaked out a little bit about it. I mean, it was, you're watching the thing that you had put a lot into, and I had friends and family invested in the company, and, I'm watching all the customers cancel, and I'm going, oh my gosh, is there a way we can bring this, back? And then I realized, we looked at everything and looked at the numbers and go, you know what, we have enough gas in the tank that we think we can do this. And so we went ahead and retooled, and the product that we built was very different than that original idea that we had of kind of the Yelp for Jobs mobile app. We built a system that lets candidates apply for a job on a major job board like Indeed or LinkedIn, and instantly have a conversation with a recruiter. And because of that instant and immediate conversation, what we're finding out is that these employers are able to hire the best talent because they haven't already taken a job somewhere else. One of the bigger problems that we have is that at least in recruiting that we see, is that most companies go very, very, very slow. And as a result of that, a lot of the best talent just kind of gets away. So the new product, very different than the old product. We enable recruiting teams to do chat via SMS, and we have a whole marketing system that hooks up to the job boards and takes an applicant and turns that into a live conversation. We started off with building a chatbot, and then we decided, you know what, people do a better job talking to people than chatbots do. So now we're really the only game when it comes to having a recruiting experience where every candidate gets to talk to a live person every time.
Yeah, I love that. What an amazing change there with what you did, and it shows, that you guys really understood, all right, well, what do people want and need in the market, and then how, and I love that you doubled down is like a term that's used, right? You thought, you know what, we've got this in the tank, let's go all in, let's focus on this new area, which is, it's a bold move, but it's a move that normally pays off when you back yourself in that way. And you guys obviously had the vision of how you wanted it to be, and the testaments to you guys with, like you said, in January you sold more than you did in all of 2020. So the proof's in the pudding there, which is amazing.
Well, if we go a few more months like we're going, I'll be able to say we sold more in the first quarter than we sold in the last 2 years. So I mean, that's really, really, really really positive. And I think as time goes on, we're going to really look at the whole COVID period as one that we got a chance to reinvent ourselves. And you don't get those chances in life or in business all that often.
Yeah, definitely. That's really amazing. And I remember reading that, it costs approximately 7 times more to hire a new employee than it does to retain an old employee, right? So there's this big thing about hiring that is a challenge, I guess, for people. So I guess, do you see this as true? And what are your thoughts around that sort of process there?
Oh, well, I think that most companies really do themselves a favor when they focus on keeping their employees happy and keeping them on the payroll. I think a lot of businesses reach way too quickly to lay off or to terminate people, and a lot of times they're doing that because maybe the experience of being an employee at that company isn't very good, and I think that makes a huge difference in just what you end up building. If I look at my company, most of our people have been with us for, in some cases, from the beginning. So we tend to really like to keep our people on long term. It makes a big difference. Find good people and keep them. And when you don't get good people, be very quick to identify that and help those people find a place where they fit.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's really important. And I love that advice. And that's why, I guess what you guys do is really important in that hiring process, right? Because like you said, getting that right from the beginning is going to save you a lot of headaches or potential headaches down the line as well.
Yeah. Well, how many times do you see this where somebody goes and is looking for a friend goes and looks for a job, and they go apply and they apply and they apply, they put in 30, 40 applications, and then they don't hear anything for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they kind of get a little bitter about it, and then they start getting rejection notices. They haven't even had an interview yet, and they're getting these letters saying we're not going to interview you. That experience is just, I think it's horrible. And one of the things I'm really, really passionate about with what we're doing is that when people apply for a job, they get to have a conversation with a recruiter right away. There isn't any waiting around, and if somebody's not qualified, we're able to tell them right away, look, you applied for a truck driver position, you don't have a CDL, you don't have the right license to do this job. When you go get the right license, come on back and we'll talk to you. But we're able to give people almost immediate feedback, and the result of that, I thought at first people would hate it and they get upset with us. What's happened was the opposite. When we tell people that, you're not qualified for this job, they actually thank us. And when we come back and have them rate our service, we've averaged out of a 5-point system. So it's 0 is bad, 5 is good. We average a 4.8 on on job seeker satisfaction. So there's something really good about being immediate, prompt, and transparent with people when they're looking for a job. Nobody does that, and they need to.
Yeah, definitely. It's that's really awesome that you've, I guess, shared that and everything there. So it's I think if we delve deeper into a little bit about this, about hiring. So what do you see as some of the biggest hurdles of people during the hiring process that most employers have?
Okay, so I'll start with what I see with most employers, and this is mostly informed by 5 years of trying to solve really tough recruiting problems for companies that come to us and go, we don't have enough candidates, or we're not getting enough hires. And a lot of times when we look at these companies, we see just a couple of things that just stand out. Number one is they're slow. You need to hire somebody, but you're not going to do anything other than buy an ad and then collect a pile of resumes. And then 4 weeks from now, we're going to go through the stack of resumes and rate them and then call the 5 that you want to talk to. That model is so slow that most of the good people in the stack of resumes will have already taken a job somewhere else before you even decide you want to call them. And so we found that speed's a big thing. The other thing that goes on is a lot of companies are very confused about what the requirements of a job should be. And you see a lot of people doing really irrational things like requiring advanced college degrees from people that are going to be working as a clerk or as a truck driver. And so we see a lot of companies, do two things that really sabotage themselves. One is they go so slow, all the good talent goes somewhere else. And then they have these ridiculous requirements that just don't line up with reality. And so they end up with a talent pool of 2 or 3 people. And because they go so slow, they can't hire any of them because those good people have already taken a job somewhere else. It's really crazy. And it's almost dystopian.
Yeah, I love that, and I think the biggest thing that I'll take out of this is that speed of implementation, right, is a big thing in business where that's what's going to help you get there quicker. And like you said, it's number one about delivering good services and moving a business forward, but from the other sense, you can miss out on things because if you take too long, then other people are going to snap up those opportunities, whether it's people or anything else. So, yeah.
And there's another piece to that that's so important, and I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but as a business person, when I put my HR hat on, I almost forget about this, but as a business owner, one of the biggest things I like to do is get money deployed quickly. Like if I decide, hey, I need to get somebody to do this particular thing, I want to get that person in as fast as I can, because if I don't, I'm either going to lose an opportunity, which costs me, or I'm going to just miss the opportunity completely. And I think a lot of us forget that with hiring, the faster we go, sometimes the better the outcome is for the business, because we're actually able to take advantage of that opportunity that's right in front of us. And I've seen it, time and time again, especially in healthcare of all places, where we see people that are looking for like maybe a home health aide to go travel around and help help elderly people with different things around the house, and making sure they're taking their medication and all that. We see them taking 3-4 weeks to hire people, and if they could hire them this week, they have business that they're saying no to just because they don't have the employee to go do the work.
Yeah.
I think speed is something we all underrate in that employment process.
Definitely. That's really powerful words there, and it can be attributed to so many different things, and it's like get out of your own way and just make it happen, basically. So I love that. And I think if we go back a little bit before, you were mentioning about people working better than chatbots, right? So why do you think that is? Let's go a little bit deeper in that as well.
Well, I first off, if you look at my resume, I've been building software for the better part of 30 years, and I love tech. I love it. I love everything to do with software. But chatbots have been an interesting thing. They're very good at some things, and they're very bad at other things. And we originally built a chatbot, and we spent an embarrassing amount of money banking it. This would have been for our old app. We're going to have a chatbot in our mobile app. How trendy could you be, right? And so we built this thing, and within a week, we started realizing that the chatbot was having bad interactions with people. We had a lady that was looking for a job that hit the chatbot, and she said, "My mom has cancer. I really need a job. Can you help me?" And the chatbot said, "All right, woohoo, let's go." And then it said, "What is your name?" And no matter what she said next, it said, "What is your name?" We looked at that and decided, and then some other conversations, what we realized is that the chatbot tech is really good at almost doing things where it's like, what is your first name? What is your last name? When did you, what year did you graduate from high school? It can handle that kind of stuff. But just a conversation back and forth, the kind of thing that we do to introduce ourselves to each other and get to know each other. The chatbots are very, very bad at that, and people spot it really quickly. I mean, most people, we found all kinds of transcripts from chats where people would start asking, "Are you a bot?" within 3 or 4 messages. And it may have been our chatbot was that bad, but it also has to do with, I think, the technology. It's right up there with the voice menus that live in phone systems. Just not quite as high tech as we all think they are.
Yeah, definitely. And I completely agree with that. It's there's something about humans and human interaction, showing empathy and being able to adjust that and tailor the chat to people, and that's how you really connect with people, right? Because in the end, when we build relationships, we need to build rapport with people at the start so that we can connect better. So that's a big aspect of it as well.
It is, and that employment relationship is very much a human-to-human relationship, and especially to that person looking for a job. They don't do that as often as we hire people, and so a lot of times, if you do a lot of hiring, you don't think about the experience the other party is having, and the job seeker really, they're scared, they're worried, they need to find some new work. Could be because mom has cancer, like our chatbot lady did, or it could just be something else. But any way you go, this job hunt is really important to that person. And so if we take them seriously, it really, it says something about your company, how you treat the people who are looking for work.
Yeah, and that was exactly the point I was about to say, is that it actually attracts people to you because they will get the feeling going, these guys understand me. It seems like a great company that they're listening to me and everything like that. Because I've in the past, you've probably done it before. You've been to interviews and you're just like, yeah, I don't know about this place. It was very transactional in terms of the process, and then you sort of, there might be one place you're like, I really like these guys. There's something about them, their energy and things like that, and then that can sway your decision most of the time.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. It does.
Yeah, definitely. So if, I like the aspect of speed, right? So, and you're talking about, the situation of job seekers, like talking to a real human within seconds, right? Every time, which is massive, in terms of the speed of implementation there. So what do you see that doing and that changes happening, I guess, in that space and what's possible from that as well?
Well, the couple things are really, really interesting. One is this last year really has been great because everybody started to get used to communicating through the internet in a way that's really meaningful. You can't tell, I think this is the fourth or fifth Zoom call I've done today. Most of them were not, were not a podcast. They were just routine kind of calls. People are getting more used to that kind of communication to the point that we're all starting to expect a little more of an immediate experience. In our product, the big thing on our roadmap is adding video interviewing. So you'll be able to chat with a recruiter, and then if you get through the interview, they'll be able to interview right through the app. But the whole change that COVID brought with everybody being remote, I think people are more used to this and more comfortable with it. It's definitely helped us on recruiting our own people for our chat agents. We're finding a lot of people that want to work from home and want to, chat with people for a living. And it's kind of an interesting thing. I didn't really think that COVID would have that kind of effect on us, but it really has. And if you think about, what things look like for our employers out there, I think that, the expectation in a few years is going to be that everybody is going real time and everybody is going very quickly with candidates when we're talking about employment. And this whole thing of 3-4 weeks of uncertainty, it's really hard for people. And honestly, if you're trying to find the best talent, the best way to find that talent is to go really quickly and make those hiring decisions faster than maybe we used to.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And I love that you guys are already thinking forward as well. Like you're already cutting edge with, getting it within seconds and speaking to someone, which is massive. But then you're thinking, okay, well, let's bring the video element to this as well, because, there's people all around the place and it saves time. I think that's what it comes down to again, right? It's like, what if someone has to drive, you have to go out and do all these things. It's like, let's make it efficient and stuff like that. So I really love that element of what you guys are doing there.
Well, thank you. I think that it's not just recruiting where this kind of thing matters. I mean, we because we have a chat app, I get to talk to other people that do chat for sales and marketing, and we're seeing a lot of interest. If people call us asking if you could use your chat, could we use your chat platform for sales, or could we use it for we're doing all this like updating people's insurance accounts. Could we use your chat platform for that? The hard part for me as an entrepreneur is like I want to say yes to everybody, and it's like, oh, there's business to be done. But I know for us to be successful, we've got to kind of stay a little in our swim lane where we're good at this. But I think that we're going to see the world change to be a little more immediate and a little more okay with having a quick chat on the line and then turning that into a video call if it's interesting, and certainly works a lot better than sending emails that go into people's spam folders and then trying to call people until one day they finally pick up, hopefully just to tell you, they see you've called them 50 times and they're the 51st one, they're just going to tell you to stop calling. Chat works a lot better than that.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And I think the really great point you made for the entrepreneurs listening is don't have the shiny object syndrome, right? That a lot of entrepreneurs have, is that you're like, oh, this is good. I can do this. And then you're like spread too thin. And like you said, staying in your lane. And that focus is really what's going to get you that growth over time, is knowing where you're at. And you're going to get to a point that you could potentially do stuff when you're bigger and, you know, you got all the systems in place where you could go, we could add another feature maybe, or, you know, something like that, like another, you know, vertical or whatever it is. But until you get to that point, you don't want to spread yourself too thin, because you're just going to be, putting out fires and not really running the wheel and not really getting anywhere as well.
Yeah, I think there's some wisdom to going deep on things rather than going wide and thin. It's hard that way.
Definitely. So, you know, we're talking about changing the game, right, with recruiting and everything like that. So what do you think is going to be the change and what it's going to look like over the next, say, 3 to 5 years and beyond?
Well, so you brought up bots, and chatbots and AIs are definitely with us for better or for worse. I think people can get used to seeing a lot more AI kind of screening and a lot more chatbot interactions with people. It's just going to happen. I think that's kind of the way of things. So we're going to see a lot more of that. I do think that we're going to see hiring accelerate a lot. Before COVID hit, we were really globally looking at a situation where unemployment was at record lows in a lot of countries. And I'll pick on the United States because it's my backyard. We hadn't seen unemployment numbers like they were in 2019. I mean, it was the best employment story we've ever seen. And as we come out of COVID, the world is going to go back to that. And we've created this situation where there's a lot of skill sets that you need as a business person, you need to hire for your company, that are going to be hard to find because the colleges and universities have not been cranking out enough computer programmers. They have not been cranking out enough accountants. They've not been cranking out a lot of people with the skill sets that we need. And so finding good people is going to be harder and harder over the next 5-6 years. And that's going to put a premium on learning how to go faster and learn how to maybe be a little more empirical and less by the seat of your pants on hiring. So I think we're going to see some real changes as far as how hard it is to find talent, and the best way to deal with that is going to be to figure out how to go faster and make better decisions based on facts rather than kind of the old entrepreneur way, which is interview somebody a couple times, and if they're still around in 3 weeks, offer them a job.
I love that. Yeah, great points with where it's going to go, and yes, definitely have to have some more method in it. And I guess, you know, just based on your experience, you know, for the people that are out there and, you know, wanting to hire people, right, and do it right the first time, what are some of the actions or tests or things you think that are important, you know, at the start, or different things to ask, or whatever it is that, you know, to ensure that we hire the right people, you know, the first time?
Well, that's a really good question. That's a really big one too, because it's so easy to get hiring wrong and end up with the wrong people doing the wrong things. The most important thing is to understand what you need. An employee, you need to really understand what you need that person to do, whether it's build software, whether it's just make sure the invoices get out on time. Whatever that thing is that you need people to do, it could be just giving great customer service. Whatever those things are, make sure it's really well defined and you understand that, and you think about not just what are the skills this person need to have, but also think about what kind of person is going to fit best. Think about, you know, what that person really is. If I'm hiring somebody for customer service, I need to find somebody who is very empathetic and really cares about people, probably to the point they'll drive us nuts later on when we hire them, and they're going to take the customer side on everything. That's what you want. You want to hire people that are that way, right? And I think a lot of us don't think about that. We think about, all the what degree do they have? What did they do at their last job? All of that stuff, way too much. And we don't think about what kind of person do I really need to hire for this? Who's going to be a good fit? And then the other question that us entrepreneurs are terrible at asking, because we're also we're really good at adapting and do I really want to work with this person? Do I really want to work with this person? And I think a lot of times when you ask those questions, it helps make a lot better decisions, especially when you're smaller. As you get bigger, you have to get more systematic and more, more numbers based, I guess. But the bottom line is, I think a lot of times bad hiring starts with really not being honest about what kind of person you need to hire and focusing way too much on, it's almost like the statistics. You're almost focused way too much on performance statistics and stuff like that, instead of worrying about, is this person going to be a great fit? Are they going to be able to really do this? And if I'm hiring somebody to build software, can they really build the software that I need them to build?
Yeah, definitely. Really amazing points there. So thank you for that. And just to add slightly, and you said it well, is really understanding what they are. And one thing that I like to simplify it to people is, you should have values in your business, right? So it becomes part of your culture in your business. And, whether that's created from the founders or, hopefully you get some intake from your employees as well with the values of how you live and, breathe, then see what the values are of the people that you're hiring, right? Like, are there some similar values there so that, they're going to be on board and they do certain things that is going to align, right? Because Mike was sort of saying is you could have two people, right? And if you just look at them on their skills, they could be very, similar in terms of technical capability. Maybe one's a little bit better or a bit more experienced. And then someone might just go, oh, let's get that person because they've got a bit more experience. But then the other person might have other skills that actually suit the role better to do other things as well. So you've got to make those calls and understand what's going to be like, that better fit and stuff. So that's really important for us to get that right. Otherwise, we're going to go down the whole path again and waste a lot of time and money for no reason, which is not what we want to do. I guess the other thing I was, going to say is that there's a lot of people out there. We don't necessarily, do things ourselves, right? Like a lot of the time, we learn and, whether it's coaches and mentors and, getting advice from other people. So, have you had coaches and mentors throughout your journey and what has that helped you to achieve in your time?
Well, I think at every level of business I've done from the beginning, I've always looked for somebody that can kind of be a mentor, and I always look to I always would look for somebody who was older and wiser than me to maybe help me a little bit, and it's always been a good thing. I'm thinking back to one of my first sales jobs. I got hired as an inside sales representative to sell computer equipment. And there was this old guy that was at the very end of his career that used to sell big mainframes for IBM. And I realized this guy is going to be gold for me, because he knows how to sell this stuff and has been doing it for a lifetime. And the other revelation to me at age 23 was that the computers were over 23 years old. That was another interesting thing for me back then. But this guy really helped. And then as I went forward in business, I've always kind of sought out, hey, who's somebody that can really help? And, as I've gotten further along in business, I start looking at external advisors, because maybe I'm now the old guy in the company or whatever, and I've got to find people outside that can support me. But there's a lot more out there that I don't know than I know. And it's a lot easier to have people who can help than it is to try to guess at everything all the time. It makes a difference.
Yeah, I love that. Completely agree with that. It's definitely changed me with my trajectory in business and everything like that as well. So I guess finally, what one key piece of advice would you give to all the entrepreneurs listening and watching today?
would say this: don't listen to people that tell you that you're not going to succeed. Don't listen to people that are naysayers. Back to mentors. One of my mentors was a guy that was actually the founder of Monster.com, and he used to say the default is no. That's just the natural state of things is no. And everybody's going to tell you that your idea may or may not be good. Be very worried if everybody tells you you have a good idea. Be very worried you might not. But you're going to have a lot of people that say, no, you can't succeed, and they're going to have lots of great reasons for you not to be able to do that. Don't listen to any of it. The best thing to do is go try it out. I think, was it Jack Welch, the CEO of GE all those years, used to say, know the facts and act on them. Know the facts and act on them. Go do your thing. Listen and read the facts. Pay attention to that. Don't worry about all the opinions. If you've got a good idea, the market will validate it. If you don't have such a great idea, the market will tell you to do something else. It's up to you as an entrepreneur to be smart enough to listen to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great advice there with everything like that, and definitely, don't listen to other people, whether it's your parents, whether it's just people in general that have never created businesses before and everything like that. It's just don't listen to the people just because they have their own limitations most of the time. Like in NLP, they say perception is projection, right? So a lot of people, it's because they can't see it working that they tell you it's not going to work. It's not what your belief is, in there. So pretty powerful in that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Love it. So, we met through our networks where I learned about your awesome journey of creating change in the world. And, you're an innovative serial entrepreneur with, awesome results in all the businesses. Obviously there's a couple of failures as well, but you've created awesome results along the way and kept going and started and worked in and everything like that. So, and you're a great guy, and I'm sure you continue to improve the world in your ventures and, the pivots and all the different innovations that you're doing as well. So I'm very grateful that, we connected, and I look forward to working with you in the future as well, Mike.
It's great to meet you, Athin. I really enjoyed being here today. Thanks.
No worries at all. And thank you so much for your time today, Mike. So I'm sure many people have greatly benefited from your valuable wisdom. So how can people find you and get in contact with you?
So if you want to get in touch with me, probably the best way is just to look me up on LinkedIn. I'm on there pretty regularly. If you want to learn a little more about my company, Pivot CX, it's at pivotcx.io is the website. I really enjoy hearing from people. So if you just, if you heard something on the podcast you want to talk about or whatever, feel free to just ping me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Love it there. And, thank you everyone for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis. Visit my website, athincassiotis.com. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way you know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. Have a great day.